All right, welcome back to the two-stroke turbo channel. Welcome back to a really fun time you're going to have. You're really going to enjoy this video. Most people do anyhow. We like working on tiny little cars, as you can see. I've got them just strewn about here, all these little jelly beans. They really make my heart warm when I get the chance to work on these things. It makes me very proud. Stella, my shop dog, is around here someplace. I'm scanning the shop. I have no idea where she's asleep. She's either in her basket of clothes, her little bed over there underneath or someplace. I think she's upstairs in the office right now, so she's sleeping, snoozing. You may or may not see her on this video. I'm not sure. So let's see. We're working on this little baby blue Isetta today. And if you guys recall, I've had this car for a while, finally getting around to it. This thing is over restored. It's beautiful. I think it was in a museum. I don't know the history on this car. It's painted. Everything's painted. Like, not only just the wheels and the tires, but the frame is painted white. The engine's painted baby blue to match the car, which is fine. Let me turn the light on here so you can get a look in there. But it's a little overdone. Like, they really went out of their way to paint the coil bracket, to paint the engine cover or the camshaft cover, the valve cover. Everything is painted or possibly powder coated, I'm not sure. They didn't paint the carburetor, thank goodness, and they didn't paint the hoses, but they painted everything else, like everything. So let's kind of get into this car a little bit. I'll show you what I mean. They painted the rear chain case. They painted the frame. They didn't paint the shocks, which is surprising. They left those black. They didn't paint the guibos turning in there, which is great, but they painted everything else. And I think when they did the work to paint or powder coat, they did the front shocks, which are right here, which they painted white, and then they painted the springs blue, but they didn't put the bushings back in. So you can see there's no bushing in that shock. It's going to bang around. They didn't put any bushings in the brake stoppers. Everything else is kind of crazy. They didn't put bushings in the silent blocks. So it's like, I don't know if this car sat in a museum or what. Somebody then tried to put rubber hose to create bushings like this. So that's just a piece of garden hose. It's not going to come out of there. It's starting to come out. Anyhow, I mean, it's just not right. So you can't buy just the shock bushings. You got to replace the shocks. So I ordered some new shocks. I ordered some new stopper control arm bushings, which come through the brakes. I ordered some new, I got everything, but I got to put it together and make it work. So it's taken a while. And it's the new shocks that I have, I am not going to paint. In fact, they're going to be factory black. These are what new Isetta shocks look like. They're cute little things. Got my bag of parts here. Got my silent blocks. I got the breather tube for the engine, which is missing. I'm not going to paint any of that stuff. The guy can paint his own stuff, but we got to make this car work. The customer complaint was the car lists. In other words, when he had it in his garage, it was tilted like a ship with its rudder off keel. So that's because all the bushings are shot. And I can't imagine it drove very well with all those bushings clunking. I think you can see this is all wallered out. It's all egg-shaped from that banging around. I'm assuming the same thing would be for the shocks. We got to make this car right. It's a beautiful little car. Like I said, it's a bit over-restored, but we're going to make it good. So that's today's job, is to get the shocks off, replace all the bushings, and make it good. So hang with me as we journey to make this car better than it ever was. We're working on our little blue Isetta here. You may, well, wonder where Stella is. I can hear her. Where did she get? She was just there a second ago. What happened? Where'd she go? There you are. You were sleeping in my office. It was cold this morning, wasn't it, Stella? It was 35 degrees out. That's pretty cool for a dog. Okay, I was going on earlier, kind of making fun of this car, which I probably shouldn't, about how much stuff is painted. Check this out. So I just got the wheels off. The wheels are over there now by the wall. And I pulled the drum off. And not only did somebody powder coat or paint the drum blue on the inside and the outside. But let's put this down here. They painted the wheel cylinders. They powder coated the wheel cylinders, the hubs, the bearing covers, the dust covers, and the adjuster mechanisms, and the backing plates. Like, who does that? Also, it's like they painted everything but then left these bolts like just bare to rust, and like that one's not even tight, it's hitting on. What is going on with this? This is a little cray-cray. Who would do that? This is what it looks like when you don't have your bushing on your backing plate. Whoop, just took that off there. The whole thing moves around. So when you stop and your shoes expand, you're moving this back and forth. When this bushing goes out, like this one here, that's not good. We're gonna fix that. Being very helpful. She really wants to help me out on this Isetta that's painted colors, all baby blue and white. So this is the bushing that we are now trying to fix here of the lower control arm. I'm gonna pull this down. You can see that the bushing retainer, or the outside piece, here is the new one. The metal shield here that I'm touching with my pointer finger is still stuck, and it's been powder coated. I would like to just press that out. I wish I had a special tool. Do you know of anybody who would make a special tool for that? Well, my friend Miles Chappelle does make a special tool, but it doesn't fit this. It fits the silent blocks, which are just a little smaller. So this special tool is wonderful for doing silent blocks. It's a silent block press, but unfortunately won't do the control arm. So I'm going to take my Sawzall and cut a slice in this to get this collar out, and then we'll push in the new one. Take your special rotor hammer tool or your Sawzall, and you cut a little slice in the bottom. Oh, where are we here? Here we are, sorry. See that cut right there in the very bottom? Yep, and then you just grab onto it and you pull it out. Just like that. I'm not sure if that last clip was very in focus. This is what the bushing looks like without the rubber. And here's my new bushing that I'm putting in here. I've got to press it. So to press it, I've got to take off the lower control arm. So I've got the cap off. I've got the tie rod end off, or the drag link, and you'll see somebody shoved rubber into the drag link. It's like, what? How would you do that on such a nice car? So we will be putting new silent blocks in here as well, but for right now, I'm going to pop off this lower control arm. I think I can take this off and put this in the press and press this in all the way. Okay, so we took a little break. We're back working on our Isetta. You'll notice I used my spring compressor to get the shock and the shock holder and spring off the car. This is the bushing that was in the car, which was no bushing, and this is what is supposed to be in the car. Now, I'm not going to paint the shock white. It's just going to have to be black, but the spring somebody else painted. I'm assuming they powder coated this and they melted the bushing. That's what they did, I guess. I don't want to scratch this all up, but I do have to put this in my fancy spring compressor over there to get this apart, to get the shock in. It's kind of a convoluted mess. Hope you can hang in there with me, but this is going to be better than ever when we get it all done. One of the best things my mother ever bought me is this spring compressor. It's a Brannick 7600. It does big springs, but for Isettas, I just put the base of the shock into an old brake rotor to support that, and then I can loosen this up. I've already taken the nuts off the top, and I can safely release this. Watch it spring out my face. You can see the top there without hurting anyone. See how I'm just turning this. See how this spring has decompressed. There. We'll pull this out. There's not a lot of tension on these, but on front wheel drive ones, there really is. Wow, look at that. Powder coated that spring. That is crazy. So we're going to put our new shock in there. See if this one's got any. Oh, this one's blown out anyways. Or at least it has no. It has rebound but no compression. I wonder if the other ones are like that. Press the new shock with our spring compressor, and the old shock, which was painted white, had no compression resistance. The new one does, so good. I don't feel so bad about replacing these old shocks that I don't know what's up with them. No bushings. Okay, so we got the spring compressor compressing our spring housing. We have our new shock. We have our brakes back on. We have our new bushing to keep the backing plate from turning. We have everything greased. We have everything adjusted as far as I can tell. We're moving on to the other side. So same thing. The drag link here, where there's supposed to be a silent block, completely fell apart. And this one, somebody put a lot of effort into squeezing a garden hose into, why would you do that on such a nice car? I don't get it. But so we're gonna put these silent blocks in the drag link, and then same thing on this side. We've got the lower control arm off. I have to slice this carefully, get that outer ring out, the brass ring, and then insert this guy in here so it goes into and supports our backing plate. So this will press into this, and this will bolt into this. And then same thing, the whole thing's got to come apart so I can put this shock in, get these greased up. It's the whole thing over again, and then get everything aligned, and then on and on. Sorry, this video's going on forever. It's a super nice car, and it's just too bad that somebody bamboozled it to just, I don't know, get it out the door. It's too bad. You can see there's no, let me turn on my light here. Look at that bushing. Piece of rubber hose just jammed in there. It's sick, sick, sick. Who would do that? The shock off this little baby blue Isetta. Somebody went through an awful lot of trouble to shove a garden hose bushing in there. Why would they do that? I don't understand. Let's fix this, fix it right. Okay, so we've got our new shock and shock housing on our driver's side. Now, I don't get this. The kingpin, which is right here, now if I push up and down on this, I'm getting, can you feel that? I don't know if you can feel that. There's play in the kingpin. I wasn't prepared to replace the kingpins. I don't know what to do about that. So plan A is I'm going to replace the bushings in the drag link. This was the bushing that was in there, which is basically a piece of hose that somebody made, and the outer ring. I used Miles Chappelle machined one of these in his lathe and gave me this special press tool for pressing in these new silent blocks. So I used this to press out this ring, which is a specific shape, out of there, and then I'm going to press in these new silent blocks. So I'll use this to push that in. Same thing with this other end here. I'll use this machined brass tool to press out that ring. Otherwise, you got to cut them with a saw to get them out. This is a really cool tool. Thank you, Miles. I think we're on the home stretch. We got our wheels back on. We got our brakes adjusted. We got everything greased. We have our kingpin shimmed. We have our silent blocks in. We have our new shocks in, our new bushings in, our new lower control arm bushing in. Everything's greased and tightened except I'm going to lubricate the shocks. These are supposed to take oil. This is the shocking mechanism or lubrication mechanism for the dual control arms for an Isetta. I have used bentonite, a lawnmower grease for their transmissions. So you undo the cap and you fill it up to about here, and that seems to keep these pretty lubricated. This is thick enough that it doesn't leak out, and it greases the contraption very well. So that's going to wrap it up. This took a lot longer than I thought. This car's been on my lift for multiple days, and thanks for hanging in there and watching the whole video. If you did, pat yourself on the back, because it took a while to get this thing back into shape. It's pouring down rain outside. I'm not going to drive this beautiful car in the rain, but we will soon, I promise. And stick around and you'll see the results of test drive. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next video.